featuring the UCI Mountain Bike World Cup 98.
After a terrific event at Conyers in Canada, the Grundig-UCI Mountain Bike World Cup continues its tour. We've come to the home of the 1996 Olympic Games for the 7th cross-country of the 1998 season. We're in Conyers, about 30 miles from Atlanta, at the Georgia International Horse Park, where the first ever Olympic mountain bike event took place. At 11 kilometres, this is one of the longest courses in the World Cup. There are no super technical sections, but there are short, sharp climbs and fast, demanding downhill sections. This course is largely sandy terrain on rolling hills and through light woodland. Differs from the more rugged mountain courses we've been used to at previous events. A.Sydor, the only multiple winner this season, was victorious last week close to her hometown and will be aiming to strengthen her position at the top of the world rankings. However, she can expect tough competition from the 1996 Olympic champion H.Pallhuber, as well as the tremendously improved Laurence Leboucher. 42 starters here at the Conyers International Horse Park. A very, very small field. In fact, the smallest this year so far in the World Cup. The 7th round here today. But most of the top riders here, apart from Caroline Alexander, the British rider, she had to go home after Conyers last week. She had a dreadful result there. Only come in 19th, usually in the top 5 for Caroline, but she wasn't feeling too well and decided to miss this race. But as expected, being led out by Alison Dunlap, a former road racer. She'll like this very flat start. With Laurence Leboucher now on the front. Chantal Decaux in the white on the right-hand side of the screen. Number 4, Nadia De Negri, number 10, wearing the Italian champions jersey. And these women steaming through the start-finish area. They're doing 3 laps. They do the first start loop. That's a kilometre long, and 3 laps, 11 kilometres per lap, so that's 34 kilometres in all. And already Leboucher and A.Sydor just ahead of a chasing group of riders. They've got a gap of about 10 metres, 10 or 15 metres. I think that was Chantal Decaux in 3rd spot, the 3-time European champion. She had a great season last year. She won the Europeans for the 3rd time at Silkeborg in Denmark. Had a 3rd place in the World Cup and a 5th at the Worlds. What a great year for her. But A.Sydor, she was disappointed with that, and Laurence Leboucher is with her at the moment, and they pulled away from the chasing group of riders. They're on the back loop of this figure-of-8 course. And A.Sydor has got a gap of about 50 metres, I should think. That picture there shortens it. But already Sydor steaming to the front. She did it last week at Conyers, and my, to what effect she did that. Steamed past everybody else, finished almost 3 minutes in front of the 2nd place rider Chantal Decaux. And Petso was 3rd that week, and she's in 3rd at the moment with her compatriot Nadia De Negri. She's having a good race today, and that's Chrissy Redden, the Ritchie rider, teammate of Caroline Alexander. But Sydor, she does love to ride from the front. She said after last week's win at Conyers, her 2nd of the season, she said she just likes to go right to the front and steam along at her own pace. But the former road racer Laurence Leboucher is trying desperately not to let her out of her sights. As H.Pallhuber and Nadia De Negri climb up one of the many short, sharp climbs on this course, it really does weave and twist and turn. But Petso nowhere near in the sort of form that she was in last year. If she was in that sort of form, nobody would be able to stay with her. Not Nadia De Negri, the Italian champion from 1997. She had a good year last year as well. She came 7th in the World Cup. That was her best performance. But as I say, Petso would have been steaming ahead of practically everybody. In fact, she won most races last year by about 5 minutes. Not happening this year, though. It's the overall leader of the World Cup so far, A.Sydor, who's steaming along as we see Gunrita Dahler and Sydor's teammate Annabella Straparo going through the picture. Straparo losing about 8 kilos in weight as we go through to the leaderboard after 1 lap. Sydor about 11 seconds in front of Leboucher, with Nadia De Negri and Petso together, Straparo and Dahler together. A.Sydor, the leader of the World Cup competition at the moment. 2nd in that competition, Laurence Leboucher, who won her 1st World Cup race at Plymouth. That was also the first time a French woman had won a World Cup race. Brilliant riding there. Petso and De Negri still together as Straparo chases hard. I was mentioning that she was 8 kilos lighter than she was at Plymouth. That was about 4 or 5 weeks ago. Amazing loss of weight there. In fact, A.Sydor's lost a lot of weight herself as well. I was talking to her father. He said she's lost about 15 pounds this season. She was already very slim anyway. But Petso, the Olympic champion, the world champion from 1997 and the World Cup champion from 1997, being chased hard by Denegri, she just won't let her go. Straparo is still trying hard, the 30-year-old lying 19th in the World Cup at the moment, with Darla lying in 3rd spot. She had a really, really bad season last year, but that was actually brought on by an early season bout of flu. She never really recovered. She overtrained, and that is the worst thing that these riders can do, go out and train when they're not feeling too well. But we see A.Sydor coming in over the granite rocks at the back loop, on the back loop of the course. She's got quite a big gap over Laurence Labouchere. In fact, that gap is just over 31 seconds with 2.5 minutes, more than 2.5 minutes to Petso, who is now about 14, 15, 16 seconds in front of Denegri, with Straparo in 5th and Darla in 6th. Darla had a brilliant first season in the World Cup in 1996. Second then, she won 2 World Cup races, she was 10th at the Worlds. She was also 4th at the Olympic Games and won the women's VTT, the women's mountain bike Tour de France. But this is Laurence Labouchere in the picture, and it looks like she might have overtaken A.Sydor. I don't know what's happened to her, but Labouchere climbing very well. This former road racer who had to give up because she broke 3 vertebrae in her back. Was struggling very, very hard to stay on Sydor's wheel, but she was doing it. Probably losing that time on the descents as we see A.Sydor coming up the hill now. She just adjusts. You see that a little when she put her hand forward to the handlebar. She was adjusting her suspension then. She locks it out when she comes up the hill, and then she opens it out again when she goes down. Brilliant system from Volvo Cannondale. A.Sydor now chasing, the one chasing. This really is amazing. Terrible luck for her. She's going for her 3rd win of the season. But Laurence Labouchere, the woman in your picture now, she's got the bit between her teeth. Descending very gingerly though. Not surprising given that this course is very sandy, especially on these jumps. Can take a tumble like I did when I was training around the course. But these riders too good to do that. As A.Sydor now coming down the one of the worst descents on the course. It really is a matter. Short, sharp descents, short, sharp climbs. Lots of twisting and turning, very technical, and the weather very, very hot. So humid, these riders just not used to it. Last week it was altitude in Canmore, this week the heat. Good job, but we're not going to England next week, isn't it? Probably be pouring down with rain. But A.Sydor chasing Laurence Labouchere. And I believe Petso is still in 3rd spot with Denegri in 4th, and I'm hearing that Straparo is dropping back now. Darla has overtaken her, with Ruthie Mathis, the 1991 world champion, coming through the field. She's currently in 6th spot. As we see Laurence Labouchere, she's coming into the finish straight now. The French woman is going to get her 2nd win of the season. Fabulous riding from the 25-year-old French woman. She'll be very, very happy about that. She'll retain her 2nd spot in the World Cup standings. Good riding. I'm hearing over my headphones that A.Sydor has, in fact, punctured not once, but twice. But still, I think she's coming in for 2nd, and she is.
Yeah, Ellison. And now we have a...
This is your 2nd victory of the season, Laurence. Was it a hard victory?
C'était très très dur et
It was a really hard race. I had a good start, but there was something missing in the
par rapport à
downhill.
Alison, elle était très très forte dans les descentes et elle me faisait faire plein d'efforts. Mais bon, j'ai jamais perdu
Alison was
espoir
very
parce que je me
strong,
disais qu'en
especially at the
restant
downhills.
à quelques
But I never
secondes
lost
tout le temps, elle serait
confidence in
obligée
my
de prendre beaucoup de
skills.
risques
And I said to
pour
myself,
toujours
if I
faire la
just stayed a
différence dans les
couple of
descentes.
seconds behind,
Et
I
je l'ai
would be
poussée, je
safe.
pense, à la faute et elle a crevé. Donc ça, c'est la course. Hein. Et puis bah, je suis passée à côté, puis j'ai vu
When
que
she
je pouvais les
punctured,
gagner, donc
I saw my
je me
chance
suis
to
mis
win
à
and
fond.
passed her. but it was
c'était
really
dur.
hard.
C'était très très dur.
Going to the last lap, ended up having a slow leak, a front flat, and got off the bike, fixed it, got back into the race, and you know, there was just too little race left for me to try and catch Florence. I don't know if I could have, but then with about a K1.5 to go, had another flat, ended up crashing because of the flat, jamming my chain, fixing that. So all things considered, I guess I have to be pretty delighted to take second place points away from today.
An unlucky race for A.Sydor with 2 punctures, which gave Lars Leboucher her second win of the season, and one she thoroughly deserved after a strong race in the extreme heat here in Conyers. Petso did retain 3rd spot, Denegri was 4th, Darla a good 5th, with Ruthie Mathis in 6th. 2 wins and 2 second places, A.Sydor retains the coveted blue jersey. But with her second win of the season, Lars Leboucher has closed the gap to just 12 points, with Paula Petso a further 5 points adrift. Darla, Decor and Falana all moved down 1 spot. Cadel Evans rode to victory last year in New Zealand. He also rode into the record books by becoming the youngest rider to win a World Cup race in what was his first full season. He finally finished the season 3rd overall in the World Cup after a disastrous final race in Annecy, France. Soon after the season's end, he switched from the Diamondback team to Volvo Cannondale, arguably the strongest team in the world.
Being my first full year last year, I learnt a lot, and every race, every day, you learn so much more, and that's also really helped my results this year.
And it's been a great year so far, with wins in Portugal, Plymouth, and last week in Canada.
This year I've left more in reserve for later in the season. With my equipment, I never use anything new for a long time. My shoe sponsor, Northwave, have made me so many pairs of shoes this year, and I'm still riding the pair that I got in January because I know they fit me well and I know they're comfortable. Yeah, and they work. And well, I won 3 World Cups in them now, so I probably won't change for the rest of the year. And yeah, with my equipment, I never like to try anything. I like to try new improved products, but I never race with anything until I've given it a good try. Miguel this year's had quite a bit of bad luck for the World Cup overall. Philippe's really the one this year, I think, and of course for this Spy Worlds, Miguel Martinez and is the man to beat.
A level-headed young man, mature for his age of just 21, and very popular with the fans.
Big Star, the legendary Blue Jeans.
Last week we saw an exciting battle between these superb riders. Miguel Martinez, Philipp Meerhager and the eventual winner Cadel Evans, displaying an awesome amount of power, speed, pacing and tactical awareness to take his 5th World Cup win in 2 seasons. Simply brilliant. The race here at Conyers, Cadel Evans maintains his position at the top, but is being chased by a group of talented riders. Rune Hoydal in 2nd, Meerhagen in 3rd, Van Doren in 4th, Martinez in 5th, with 97 world champion H.Pallhuber in 6th.
30 seconds.
And conditions for the men's race totally different to that of the women's. It was very, very sunny and hot yesterday for those women, but for today, 72 starters in the men's race, humid, grey and miserable. It's going to be very, very hard for these riders. They too are doing a 1 kilometre start loop. Just going through your picture, the champion of France, Cyril Bonon, who used to ride for Volvo Cannondale but dropped by them after last season, wasn't too successful, but being led out now by Pavel Cherkasov, the junior world time trial champion from 1990. He likes it fast. See these back-end riders here desperately trying to hang on to the front. So important to get a good start, especially on this sort of course where it twists and turns. Once you're in the back, it really is very, very difficult to get up to the front, as it looks like Christophe Dupuy, the team's Sun rider, leading out the rest of the pack. Hasn't had a very successful season so far. Well, not for him anyway. He's had about 3 fifth places, but he won the World Cup back in 1996. He'd prefer a lot higher than that as Philip Meerhager and new teammate Luca Bramati go through your picture. The Mountain Dew Specialized riders, they're trying desperately to hang on to Dupuy. Henrik Janice there, I think, in third spot. Or is that Roel Paulison? I think it was Roel Paulison, the Belgian champion. As the riders come through the start-finish area after the first half a loop, these men doing 4.5 laps, a total of 51 kilometers. It's going to be very, very difficult for them. They know it's going to be fast. The champion back here in 1996, Bart Brent Jens, he's riding today. Silver medalist that day, Thomas Frischneck, he's here. And of course, Miguel Martinez, he won the bronze that year. He'll hope to repeat that performance this year or perhaps go 2 places better. But it's 1997 world champion H.Pallhuber now in your picture. It looks like he's leading out the rest of the riders as he comes down one of the descents. Dupuy on his tail, Meerhager there, Salza, Henrik Janice, the 3-time world champion, Miguel Martinez, always very animated. Rune Højdal, very confident about this race today. Confident about the race, but not the heat. H.Pallhuber coming into the start-finish arena. Salza shows out there. A former rider in the downhill world championships. As Patrick Tolhoek, the recently crowned Dutch champion, he's leading out the riders now. Salza on his tail. This is really, really different for a mountain bike race. It's not often you get a group such as this. Looks like about 10 riders at the front of the race. 77 riders in all, 72 riders in all, sorry. And 10 of those at the front. But Tolhoek recently won the Dutch championships, as I say. Bart Brentjes was 4th that day, but he's coming back from a major hand injury. Suffered that whilst out training with his training partner and indeed coach Gert-Jan Ternisa as Henrik Janice goes through the picture. Meerhager working hard to stay in touch. Salza leading now after a lap and a half. Tolhoek 2nd, Dupuy 3rd, Pallhuber 4th. Martinez and Højdal still there, but it's very, very tight. Very tight indeed. And all of these riders having to take on as much fluid and liquid as possible. They won't really eat that much, but they'll drink a gallon of water and energy drinks. But Philip Meerhager, who had such a good race last week at Canmore, he's now leading out. Looks like he's using very low tire pressures on the back wheel. Not sure if I was right, but he wants some grip. Pavel Cherkasov now at the back of the group. He had his time at the front on the start loop, but Meerhager loves to lead from the front, like Alison Sider in the women's race. In fact, I think that did for him last week in Canmore. He led for so long in that race and then ran out of energy. Overtaken by Cadel Evans and Miguel Martinez in the latter stages of that race as we come back to the rocky section on the last loop of the lap, and it looks like Rune Højdal leading out Christophe Dupuy. H.Pallhuber's there, Meerhager, there's some gaps appearing now. These riders cannot afford for that to happen. Tight, twisty course, very difficult to maintain any sort of pace. Very, very, very anaerobic. H.Pallhuber never won a World Cup race. He's won the World Championships though. He won it last year in September in Château d'Ay in Switzerland, and what a great race that was. The previous year, he had in fact led for the race, the World Championship race in Australia, but blew up and came 4th, as we now see a group of 4 riders who have got away from the rest of the race, led by Rune Højdal. He must have attacked on that very difficult twisty section now coming up one of the steeper parts of the climbs. But it's Rune Højdal leading out from H.Pallhuber with Christophe Dupuy there and Miguel Martinez trying desperately to stay in touch. He usually is a very, very good climber, but on this sort of course where his lack of physique is going to tell, he's trying desperately to hang on to these 3 riders. In fact, he's losing them by the yard, by the metre, in fact. And as I've said before, Rune Højdal, one of the better descenders on the cross-country circuit, won a round of the Downhill World Cup back in 1993. He's leading those 3 riders out, and Martinez trying to stay in touch. The defending World Cup champion indeed. With Christoph Salza now, the Diamondback rider, Henrik Janice and Philip Meerhager, group of 3. It really is splitting up. You would have expected this to have happened in a race So difficult in conditions like this, so humid. And the K2 rider, Dominic Arnaud, leading out Cadel Evans. I wondered what had happened to him, and in fact he's worked his way up to this third group with Dario Acquaroli in a very good position, the two-time world champion. He won the Junior World Championships back in 1993 and the Espoirs World Championships in 1996. But he's never had such a good position in the World Cup. But after 3.5 laps, it's Pallhuber leading out. Hojdal there, Dupuy, Martinez 14 seconds back, with Sousa now a distant 150. And he's with Cadel Evans. The riders taking on fluid, so important. As I've mentioned before, they really are just pouring it down their necks. A diminutive Frenchman, Miguel Martinez, winner of world titles at junior level, at Espoir level, French titles as well, European titles, he's won the lot. But it looks like Pallhuber and Bruno Hojdal have dropped Christophe Dupuy, or something has happened to Dupuy as the rest of the race tries to catch up to them. But it looks like these two guys are really out on their own now. Same sort of thing happened last year at Mount Snow when Pallhuber and Bruno Hojdal were leading the race. In fact, Pallhuber had broken away from Hojdal on one of the last ascents, but then unfortunately punctured and missed out on his first World Cup win. But I don't know whether that's going to happen today, but Pallhuber is going to have to ride very fast indeed to get away from Bruno Hojdal. But Hojdal actually looking very tired in that picture there. It was him who initiated the breakaway from Miguel Martinez, and I'm actually hearing that Christophe Dupuy, his rear rim has snapped. Unfortunate for the Frenchman. He was riding so well, and it looks like Pallhuber going through the start-finish area. He's got half a lap to go. Hojdal chasing very hard as conditions change dramatically here at Conyers. My word. Well, it was bound to happen. It really was grey and miserable, and conditions have been like this for the past few weeks here in Atlanta. And it looks like Pallhuber is going to come into the start-finish area, and he's going to take his first World Cup win. I don't think Bruno Hojdal is going to be able to get back to the Italian 1997 world champion, and he's already celebrating. What a brilliant race from the Italian. As we see Bruno Hojdal coming into view, there can only be about 10 seconds between these two riders. What a great race from Pallhuber. I would have put my money on Bruno Hojdal, but well done, Pallhuber. Thoroughly deserved.
2 hours, 10 minutes and 56 seconds.
Last year when I won the Worlds, this was like a really great feeling, and now with this jersey win a World Cup race, I'm so happy. I don't can explain how happy I am. So I have just to say to everybody, thanks very much, guys. He was always behind me, and now I give you something back, and thank you very much.
I was already from the start. I was feeling very strong, and it was a big group in the start here, around 10 riders maybe. And after a couple of laps, I decided to try to push a little bit harder, and I saw it got big gaps, and it was only Pallhuber and Miguel and yes, who could follow. And then you know, out on the last lap, it was only Pallhuber and me again, and I was feeling just a little bit tired, and I had a small crash, and Pallhuber got the gap, and I could never close it on the last lap. But it was a very good race today, and a little bit tricky with the rain in the end, so real nice.
Great win for Pallhuber, returning to form with another well-fought finish from Bruno Hojdal. Martinez in third, and Acquaroli having his highest ever World Cup finish. Evans in fifth, Christophe Sousa a brilliant 6th spot. Cadel Evans retains the blue jersey as he leads the point standings 20 points ahead of Hojdal, with Martinez 7 points further back. Meerhager drops to 4th spot from 3rd, with Hubert Pallhuber moving up from 6th to 5th, and Thomas Frischneck from 10th to 6th. Volvo Cannondale dominate the team standings. It's been a great week here in Conyers. I hope you'll join us next time for Bromont, the last round of the Cross Country World Cup. It's goodbye from me, Mark H.Pallhuber.